this is my task was like actually to see how do we define the cardiac protection with novel combination therapy. So we know that we have a perfectly fertile land in India to have a lot of cardiovascular problems in way of diabetes, pre-diabetes, hypertension, obesity, etc. And this all is a perfect line to develop heart failure. In India, we have heart failure almost two and a half, what you call 1 in 2, 100, in one or two people in 100 is a kind of a conservative estimate to have heart failure in India. And about 55% of these people, unfortunately, have comorbidity of diabetes. Why we are actually looking at diabetes as a comorbidity is important heart failure is the prognosis becomes very dismal. Somebody has heart failure with diabetes. Now, this is interesting what we call article published in Interheart CHF that actually shows that in middle income group and poor income group countries how the mortality was. It is really shame in India that we have such a high mortality compared to our neighboring countries. We have almost like, when it's compared 5% of the overall mortality in 1 year, we have in India almost mortality to 23%, which is very high. We are only a little better than Africa, but we are far, far below what China is, about 7%. A lot we need to do in trying to reduce the mortality. We know heart failure is a malignant, kind of a condition where prognosis is very poor. 5-year survival rate is even less than 50%. If you have diabetes, it's much worse than that. And when we have the 4 pillars of heart failure, we have to adopt these 4 pillars to treat the patient with heart failure. Remember that most common form of death in heart failure is actually sudden cardiac death. 50% of the people with heart failure die of sudden cardiac death. Sudden cardiac death is almost like 6 to 9 times more in patients with heart failure than any other general population. Any drug which prevents this kind of sudden cardiac death is welcome, out of which beta blocker seems to be the most powerful agents to reduce the sudden cardiac death. Of course, even MRA is supposed to be reducing this sudden cardiac death, and even RA of late we have shown that this also reduces sudden cardiac death. Apart from what we call reducing other parameters of heart failure like hospitalization heart failure and also even the cardiovascular death as well. Now, rapid sequence is very important, as we have been knowing. Then from JAMA we have learned that the world over about 1.19 million people deaths can be avoided each year if we can adopt to a GDMT in patients who are disabetic, that is heart failure with the ejection fraction. But unfortunately, most of these people do not receive this GDMT. That's where we really have to, better our treatment aspect. Now, STRONG-HF is one trial which has shown a rapid, initiation with a high dose of GDMT is will reward about 41% reduction in the mortality, even at the short period of, let's say 180 days. So, I think I need to correct my statement. Within 180 days, the combined endpoint was reduced to 41%, which is actually a combination of heart failure, hospitalization, and also cardiovascular death. So within 180 days. Since it's 180 days, although the numerical deaths were less in this, but then it was not, coming to the statistical significance. Now, if you look at the STRONG-HF trial, that didn't include SGLT inhibitors. But if you look at this HEROIC trial, which is recently published recently, which shows that in a rapid sequencing of high-dose GDMT was, along with the SGLT inhibitors, the 4 pillars, but actually reducing the mortality by almost 41% again. This is again very, very important to note that rapid sequencing is very important. Now, out of which, if you look at the one of the problems that comes to adaptation of GDMT is the kind of resilience to the therapy. If you can actually combine the drugs into the current combinations of giving them instead of 4 drugs separately, if you can combine them into two drugs in a single pill and then give them, maybe you can expect the patients to actually have better what we call adherence to therapy, and also probably it will bring down the cost as well. So one of this kind of adaptation of combination is a beta blocker with SGLT inhibitors, and this combination is because we have learned from a lot of this landmark trials where we have found the beta blockers, especially Cybris-2, actually has shown excellent what we call reduction in mortality, about 50% mortality in these patients with patients with heart failure. And all kinds of what we call death, whether it is sudden cardiac death, whether hospitalization, heart failure, whether it is cardiovascular death, death from heart failure, were all actually decreased statistically by this molecule. We have a number of beta blockers. Each one of them got their own background of the data to show that they have reduced in the mortality. But certain of the beta blockers are superior to some of the others. For example, bisoprolol is one of the molecules highly cardioselective. Its ability to reduce heart rate is much more than any other beta blockers we know of. And then, if you compare to other conventional beta blockers like carvedilol, which is known again to reduce the mortality very, very well from the landmark trials of US carvedilol trial, Capricorn trial, etc. But the problem with the carvedilol is it reduces the blood pressure in patients with heart failure, and which is not a very good thing to happen. And unlike the carvedilol, bisoprolol will tend to have a less effect on the blood pressure. Therefore, it could be welcome molecule in compared to a carvedilol, which is a very number one molecule we use in heart failure. Then, of course, the heart rate is also important among the patients with heart failure. And then, out of all the beta blockers, the one which reduces the heart rate to maximum extent is bisoprolol, and that's why probably it's going to be very important. Please remember that we have a host of article trials which have been recently published showing that beta blockers in coronary disease do not reduce mortality if they do not have heart failure. So unless they have ejection fraction low, they are not to be used in patients with in coronary disease. In fact, patients receive the treatment effect or benefit only if they have a reduced ejection fraction from the trials which have been recently published, the Reboot clinic trial or a beta-amide trial or other trials. Now, we have again other molecule, the dapagliflozin, which we are thinking about as an inhibitor. Number one, this is a molecule that could be used in heart failure, not only heart failure, but also to reduce the kidney events in patients with diabetes and non-diabetes as well. Most of data is available with this particular molecule, the DECLARE-TIMI 58 trial, which has shown there is a kind of heart failure hospitalization reduced by 36%. And remember that this patient population also had beta blocker, which is also co-administered in this trial along with dapagliflozin. About 53% of the patients that had it. Similarly, in DAPA heart trial, which has shown that dapagliflozin increases the myocardial blood flow and improves the coronary microvasculature dysfunction is prevented in these patients. And microvascular dysfunction is known to be occurring in patient diabetes, and DAPA heart trial has shown a decrease, a kind of improvement in microvascular function in patients with diabetes. DAPA-MI, again, it has shown a positive trial, not with regards to mortality, but with regards to what we call metabolic parameters in these patients. DACA-MI trial, again, has shown 100% patients who are in beta blocker, has also shown that the resistance fraction is increased in these patients, and also the ventricular mass index also was decreased in these patients. And DAPA trial, all of us know, it's a positive trial. This had a significant decrease in not only hospitalization, heart failure, but and also for mortality, cardiovascular mortality, and all-cause mortality as well. The DELIVER trial, again, a very, very important trial to note that the patients who got preserved ejection fraction, withdrawal ejection fraction, across the spectrum of heart failure, dapagliflozin has helped. And in this also we should know that the patients who are admitted with hospitalization, heart failure, worsening of heart failure, or patients who had preserved ejection fraction, or mid-range ejection fraction, or low ejection fraction, or the patients who got improved ejection fraction, all of them actually received a kind of benefit with this particular trial, and DELIVER trial. Therefore, this molecule seems to be a most important molecule among the spectrum of heart failure patients. And then, with this kind of a slide, it shows all the trials which have shown the benefit not only with the amount of patients with included with stable CAD, post-MI, LV dysfunction, heart failure, etc. And again, this shows the beta blockers across the spectrum that Cybis trial, which is with the Cybis trial along with other kind of trials with metoprolol and also other beta blockers shows in this particular time. But suffice to say, bisoprolol, which is includes Cybis 2, is the one which actually shows a remarkable decrease in the heart failure without producing much decrease in the off-label effects like increasing the tendency for bronchovasoconstriction or sexual dysfunction, or for that matter, there's not much of a decrease in the blood pressure with this drug, unlike carvedilol. Now, there is a combination that's been launched by one of our Indian companies here, which shows a DAPA plus bisoprolol combination, wherein 5 milligrams of bisoprolol with the upper conclusion of 10 milligrams, and 10 milligrams of bisoprolol plus 10 milligrams of dapagliflozin, and is compared with bisoprolol alone with a period of what we call 6 months period. And the objective was to look at the ejection fraction and improvement, and also the functional class improvement, and also decrease in NT-proBNP. All of them showed a positivity with this kind of a combination. And then this is shown when compared to when compared to only bisoprolol, in combination with dapagliflozin has really produced an improvement in ejection fraction, functional class, as well as decrease in NT-proBNP. So in concluding, combination of such kind of a thing is going to be very advantageous. Now there is also combination metoprolol. Just before I conclude this my presentation, I would like to tell you that metoprolol is not a drug which is having the same kind of action every individual. It is metabolized cytochrome enzymes, and then there are fast metabolizers, the slow metabolizers, unlike bisoprolol. Therefore, the action of metoprolol, the kind of its ability to decrease the blood pressure and protection of what we call patients with heart failure may be different in each individual. So if you have a fixed combination, it's better to adopt a fixed combination where there's not much of inter-individual variation in its effect. Therefore, a bisoprolol with dapagliflozin is a better combination than metoprolol and dapagliflozin. So, of course, the combination also this reduced the NT-proBNP and also an improvement in neurocardization class as well in patients with heart failure. But nevertheless, it is better that we go in for a combination of dapagliflozin along with bisoprolol than with the metoprolol, because metoprolol is bogged down with a lot of metabolic influences in patients who are classified as slow metabolizer for metabolism or metoprolol, and also for rapid metabolizers in some individuals. So if the rapid metabolizers, we need to give a larger dose to have the same kind of clinical effect. Thank you so much.